Okay guys, welcome to the next video. I'm going to try doing this video again. I actually just finished it, and for some reason I couldn't even hear myself on the video. So there must be something in here that the enemy does not want us to get out. So I'm going to bust through and get it out there. So guys, it is a lot of information. I just ask that you just pray over it. And I'm going to be sharing some information that the Lord has been giving me. Now, I mentioned in the last video that I had a few things that I've been praying over, and I was not able to share them at the moment, just simply because, one, I need to pray over just to get a confirmation. I've asked for that. And the other, I was not clear. I didn't know what the Lord was trying to show me. And so let me just go ahead and start with that one, because I did get some information in regards to that. And I wrote it down in my journal. So I'm just going to be reading to you what's in my journal, and trying to talk about this in layman's terms, because I'm all about simplicity, just so that we understand what is trying to be shown to us. And so I'm going to be doing that. Okay, so now on May the 21st, 2017, I awoke. I was dreaming. I was dreaming about something, and I can't remember what it was, but when I mean, it was just taken from me. But when I woke up, I do remember this. I remember 10 to 1 and 3. And that's what I remember. And so it looked like when I came and wrote it down, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be flipping papers. When I came to write it down in my journal, this is what I wrote down. I wrote down 10 to 1 because that's what I heard. 10 to 1, okay? And then 3. 10 to 1 and 3. And so I'm sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, now wait a minute, I've heard 10 to 1 before. I didn't know exactly what it meant. I know that there was a sister that had a video out on it, and I'm not sure if I went and listened to the whole video or what. Maybe I did or I didn't, because I know the Lord had me off of watching other people's videos for some time. And then I know I was talking to a friend of mine, and she had mentioned it to me. She said that the 10 to 1 was actually some type of bet, similar to what happened in Job, where God was saying, he was placing a bet upon his children, with Satan. Now, I have not heard that. That information has not been told to me. And when it was explained to me, something just didn't sit right about it. I don't know if it was just the fact that I've not gotten to that point yet, or what. I am a late bloomer. I understand that. And I'm working my way toward things, and so maybe what he's showing me is leading toward that direction. But that is not the information that I have at this time. And so I want to talk to you about where the Lord is leading me in regards to 10 to 1 and the number 3. Okay, so when I got up and I came and I wrote this down in my journal, I also wrote down several questions that I had in my mind. Because when I first got up, my question to myself was it time? And at first I thought so, because that was my first sense as soon as I awoke. Well, is this time? I think it is. But, I started thinking about the other 10 to 1 message that I had heard, and or explanation that I had heard. And I thought to myself, well, okay, so let's just keep questioning this. Is it a countdown? Is it a 10 to 1 countdown? Like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, was it a countdown? Was it a span of time on Enoch's calendar? Well, guys, we know that, we know that we've been, talking about Enoch's calendar. We've been talking about it because the Lord's been pointing us to it. He pointed us to Enoch's calendar. He let us know that it was a timepiece. He has been pointing us to the spring section. He has been giving us information about double, about twins, about 2, And so we know that, he's been pointing us to a certain area, a springtime area, on this particular calendar. And so my question was then, was the 10 to 1 some type of a span of time on Enoch's calendar? Was it the spring area? Was it the summer area? What could he be pointing to? Was it dealing with odds, 10 to 1 odds? Was that what it was? And I was asking about that. Was it dealing with the meaning of the numbers from 10 to 1? We know how important numbers are to the Lord. Was the meaning of the numbers from 10 to 1 something he was pointing us to? I really didn't know. And so I had gone back to sleep. I had gotten up early to write that down in my journal, and I just went ahead and went back to sleep. And I had prayed to the Lord about it. And I said, Father, I don't understand what this 10 to 1 is. Are you saying it is this thing that I've heard, or is it something else? What can you tell me? And when I woke up, the understanding that I had about the 10 to 1 was that it was stars. So now, when I had talked to the Lord the first time, that he gave me the information about the fundamental 12 that came from the sun reef. You guys remember that? The fundamental 12 that came from the sun reef. I went back to him and I asked him, Father, what are the fundamental 12? I didn't know, were they the 12 tribes? Were they the 12 disciples? What were they? I had no idea. Were they 12 angels? We didn't know. We had no idea. And where was the sun reef? Remember, we couldn't find anything on the sun reef. We looked everywhere in Australia and all of those reefs and the name of the barrier reefs and everything, and it wasn't there. And we knew we had to start looking up then at the sun reef, right? And so when I went back into prayer, the Lord had awoke me in the middle of the night several times that particular night, because he gave me information about Louis Armstrong. He gave me information about Neil Armstrong. He gave me information about Congeal and the chart, and he gave me information about Queensland, Australia, and all different kinds of things that night. But that night he also said that the fundamental 12 were stars, just like this 10 to 1. And I'm like, no, wait a minute. So when I went to him and I asked him about the 10 to 1 and the 3, and he said they were stars, I really had to start second guessing myself. I was like, now wait a minute, am I just hearing you wrong, or what? Are you sure? What's going on? And so anyway, I really was just doubting myself. And so I kind of put it down, and for several days I was just looking through and trying to research all I could find during the time that I had regarding 10 to 1 and what it could be. I even went to my husband about it, who's not even involved in any of this stuff, and I started talking to him about it, and I said, okay, now listen, what can it be? And even he was like, well, maybe it's the difference in time between the heavens and here. Maybe it's showing the difference in time in that manner. And then we even discussed, well, could it be a ratio, 10 to 1? Could it, is that what it was? And then we even thought, well, could it be equivalency? What equates to what? Was it some type of an exchange? Like, when you go to visit another country and you have to turn in your dollars to equal what their money is. And so this would be equal to that as an exchange. Was that what it was? Was there something getting ready to happen about an exchange? And so I didn't know. And so yesterday I was busy all day. I wasn't able to study. I wasn't here. I had to travel back to where I was before, get a lot of stuff done, and then head back here. And so when I got here, it was later at night, and I just basically I felt like I was at a dead end. And so I sent an email to a good friend of mine who I trust and respect very much, and I know she hears from the Lord. And I just said, listen, I heard this on the 21st, and it was 10 to 1. Do you know, what are your thoughts on this? Do you know anything about it? And she said, oh yes, I can tell you what I what I know about it. And she was going to get back to me later on. And I was like, well, great. I should have done this a long time ago. And so I basically just, put it down and decided to go ahead and start to go in through some of my studies. And what I did is I was starting to go through the videos that I think Mary Lee sent me. Mary Lee, I believe it was you. And if it wasn't you, I apologize for whoever sent it to me. But guys, these videos were awesome. I'm just starting them, and they are just fantastic. They're slam full of information, and it's on the deacons, it's on the constellations, and astronomy, not astrology. And it's going through and it's talking about some of the things on the constellations. And so I started going through that, and as I started the second video, guys, I have not gotten very far in these videos as far as my own studies, because I keep stopping it and looking things up, and then I come back and I make some notes, and then I listen to a little bit more, and then I have to stop it and go research something and come back. It takes time for me to get it into my mind and into my understanding when I'm being flooded with a lot of information. And so it takes me a little bit of time to go through it. And as I was going through it, and I started listening to what he was saying in regards to the deacons, I knew as soon as I heard it, I knew that's what the Lord was pointing me to in regards to the 10 to 1. So I want to share with you what the Lord has shared with me and what he has shown me in regards to this. Now, it may link to what some of the other brothers and sisters have been given in terms of the 10 to 1. It may be the beginning steps of what it is, or it may be going in a different direction in terms of what this 10 to 1 means. I know that when I went to bed last night, I was in prayer with the Lord, and I can tell you that I really felt discouraged. I really felt, I'm not even sure I can even put it into words, just discouraged. Just the fact that there's been so much going on. There's been so much, we've been under such great attack. And it's not just been an attack on one front. It's an attack. We're dealing with attacks and battles on many fronts, all at the same time. And the enemy is doing everything that they possibly can to discourage, to distract, to disassociate, to harm, to maim, to wound, to whatever, to veer us off the path. I just feel like it's just been a constant battle. I'm thankful to the Lord for being there for me, because there was a time not too long ago, and I know I mentioned it in the video, that I literally broke down, and it was all I could do just to be able to, cry out and make it sound like a semblance of language, because I was just to that point. Because it's not only that I'm dealing with, but I'm still dealing with a huge upheaval in my life as far as housing and where I'm headed to, and trying to get families safe and secure before things start to happen, and ensure that things are prepared and ready to go, not only in our houses here, but our houses as well. And so I went to bed pretty discouraged last night. I'm thankful for all that the Lord gives me and allows me to experience, because I know there's a reason for it all. But I truly was discouraged. And when I prayed to the Lord last night, I just said, Lord, I'm not getting the information that others are getting. Mine is different. And I wanted to know, was I off my path? Was I not hearing him correctly? What is it that was going on? Because in my studies, I actually understood when I was listening to what this video and study was trying to explain to me in terms of the deacons, that it was the answer to what he had told me already about the 10 to 1 and the stars. And so when I went to bed last night, I was pretty down. I had the Lord wake me in the middle of the night, and truthfully, I didn't want to get up. I was just tired, and I didn't want to get up. And I said, Lord, is that you? Is that you talking to me? And he said, yes. And he said, arise, child. And so I had to get up, and I came to where the computer is here, and I opened my journal, and he gave me a message that I finished documenting down at 2:38 in the morning. And so this is the message that he gave to me this morning. He said, time is relevant. You should know some members of the body have no need of time, but others do. Go forth in this direction. You shall see the culmination of what I am to show you quickly. You know that this is what is to come. Know that this is what is to come. Many will not be able to see this. Fear not, my dear one, for I shall enable you to focus upon what is real and important to share with my fellow man. He then went on to say, love is a splendid thing, my child. It shall grow out of crags in rocks with little or no water to support it. You shall see what I mean in the coming days. Shalom. And that was the end of the message. Now, I finished getting that message at 2:38 in the morning, and I stayed up until about 4. And I really wasn't doing any deep studies of anything. I didn't continue my studies through the video and other research that I was doing. I did look up to see what the meaning of the word relevant was. I wanted to make sure I understood what he was saying to me. And definition of relevant means closely connected or appropriate to what is being done or considered. And then the synonyms are pertinent, applicable, related, connected, and on topic. Okay, so my 10 to 1 study, and this 3, where he told me it was the stars, okay, is relevant to time. It's relevant to time. So about 4 o'clock or so, I went ahead and went back to sleep. I finished looking at what I wanted to and just decided I was going to lay back down. And later in the night, when I awoke, I remembered it was something that was said that was a lot longer than what I have here. But it just dissipated as I awoke. But what I do remember is this. I remember that bears equal kings. Bears equal kings. So when I saw that and understood that, I kind of understood that a little bit, because I had kind of dabbled in a little bit of what some of these constellations were about. So now I want to talk to you all in basically layman's terms, just simply so that we can put it out as simply as we can get it, because it can be a little bit confusing when we're talking about sun signs and constellations, major ones and minor ones and all of that. So we're going to put it out as simply as we can in the simplest layman's terms that I possibly can. Now, I don't know everything about all of this. I'm still digging into, and I feel like I'm being led by the Lord at this time as to where He wants me to go. Right now, He has told me in the message from this morning, go forth in this direction, and that is the direction of time. And so that is what He wants me to be focusing on here. And so that's what we're going to be talking about in this particular video in regards to the 10 to 1. So I am going to explain what the 10 to 1 is and how I found it. And so that at least you all can keep up with that part, and then we can go in and talk about some of these other constellations. Okay, so let me just move stuff out of the way. All right, so now when we're talking about Enoch's calendar, and we're talking about the circle, because everything moves in a circle, this perimeter of the circle, or the circumference of the circle, is what we're going to be talking about first. Maybe I ought to color code everything that I'm going to be doing today. Okay, so I'm just going to draw a circle, and we know that this is going to be the perimeter of the circle. Whoops, let me spell this right. We know that this is the perimeter of the circle, the outside of the circle, or the circumference. Okay? And the perimeter or the circumference of this circle is 360 degrees. Okay? It's a complete circle. 360 degrees. Now, we know in this circle that there are 12 sun signs in this particular circle, right? So we have 12 divisions or 12 signs in this circle, and they are the sun signs. They are Aquarius, Libra, Capricorn, Sagittarius, etc. So what I'm doing is I am drawing in the 12 divisions or the 12 areas where the sun signs would be. Okay? Okay. So it almost looks like a piece of pie where each area is it's cut into 12 different pieces. Okay? Okay. Now, when we're talking about these 12 signs, these are the fundamental 12 that the Lord told us about from the sun reef. These are the fundamental 12. Those are the stars that He told us. That's what they were, and they were from the sun reef. Now, remember when He told us that, and you guys can go back and look on the video where I actually had the card on it, because I don't have the card with me here. It's at my home. He told us that the fundamental 12 are from the sun reef, and then remember He had the plus and minus signs with it, right? And I had made note. I didn't know what those plus and minus signs were about, but I documented what I saw. Okay, so these 12 fundamental stars, or these 12, are the 12 major constellations. Okay? And I'm just making a note of it here. So these are the 12 major constellations. Now, when we're talking about these constellations, there are 12 major constellations, and then there are 36 minor constellations. Okay? So 36 minor, equating and equivalent to 48 total constellations. Okay? So 12 and 36 together equals 48. So this 360 degree perimeter encompasses 48 constellations. Okay? But we're going to keep them broken down as to 12 major and 36 minor. Okay? Now, when I was watching that video, and in one of those videos about the deacons, and I understood what the deacons are the 36 minor constellations. And the deacons are actually in with the major constellations. Now, what do they do? These minor stars all have meanings of their own. The major constellation, let's take a look at the sign of Virgo. We know that that's the Virgin, and we know that that is speaking of the beginning part of Jesus's life because of the Virgin Mary. And so that is the sun sign, and that is the message that that particular area of the chart is speaking of. Now, within that area of the chart, there are 3 minor constellations that also have stars that have names and speak of something that would amplify and magnify what the meaning of the major constellation, what that message is trying to say. For example, there may be a sign within the minor constellations or a star that would say it represents a king. Or it may be something that represents the Redeemer. You know, I'm not sure exactly where all these signs are, but now you can see and understand how that would now magnify and amplify the meaning of the Virgo constellation, the Virgin, okay? And so that's what we mean when we're talking about the major constellations and then the minor constellations within them, okay? So now, the 36 major and the 12 under the 36 minor and the 12 major are 48 total. So now we're going to take a look at let's see, we're going to take a look at 36 minor constellations divided by 12 equals 3 each. So if you have 36 minor constellations and you already have 12 already broken out of this 360 degrees, then we also understand that 36 divided by 12 means that 3 are within each of these 12 major constellations. Okay? So now, let's talk about putting these in here. So is this blue? Let's do blue. So here it is. We're going to put one here, and we're going to put one here, and we're going to put one here, and we're going to put one here. So what we have here is the 2 blue lines in each of the black sections, okay, showing that there is now within one section here of the major 3 minors. 1 major, 3 minors. Okay? 36 divided by 12 equals 3. 1, 2, 3 within this major constellation. Okay? So let's talk about that in terms of degrees. Okay? We have 360 degrees all the way around. So 360 degrees divided by 12 equals 30 degrees. So each one of these 12 major constellations along the 360 degree line is 30 degrees apiece. Okay? So I'm not going to do it all the way around, but I'm just giving it to you so that you can get a gist of what it is. Okay? And so now if each of the 30 degrees has a total of 3 minor constellations within it, then each one of the minor constellations would be 10 degrees. 10 degrees, 10 degrees, 10 degrees. Okay? Okay. So if 30 degrees is to 3, if 30 degrees is to 3, 1, 2, 3, then 10 degrees is to 1. Okay? Now, let me show you what the Lord told me. He said 10 to 1, and the 3 is stars. It's stars. 10 to 1 and 3. 10 to 1, there's 3. 30 to 3, or 10 to 1. Because now we learn in math, we always have to break it down to what? The lowest common denominator, or the lowest fraction, right? And that's all I did here. I took it from 30 to 3 is equivalent to 10 to 1. And that's where the 10 to 1 is coming in. And the 3, because there's 3 within each one major constellation. And so that's where the Lord led me. And that's the information that I received on it. And so that is that. Now, when I understood what the name of deacon was, okay, a deacon, which is the minor constellation, okay, that amplifies or magnifies the major constellation and its message and attribute, okay? But the word deacon actually means it means 10. And I think the Latin name of it is, I think it's Deca, I think is the Latin name of it. I'll have to look it up to be sure, but I think that's what it is. And that actually means 10. And so the Lord has shown me in terms of time, okay, in terms of time, what this 10 to 1 means. Okay, so when we looked at this right here, we're showing degrees, okay? 30 degrees, we have 3 sets of 10, right? But if this is 30 days, then I have 3 sets of 10 days, right? So if I have a month, and I'm breaking it down into 3, then I have 3 sets of 10 days. If my month carries 30 days. Now we learned in Enoch's calendar that when we broke it up into quarters, okay, where this blue line is, where we broke it up into quarters, okay, we had here that there was 30, 30, and 31. And then it went 30, 30, and 31. 30, 30, and 31. And so that it made that 364 day calendar. And so when we're breaking up the month in terms of time, in terms of days, then we can look at each one of these as being approximately 10 days. Okay? So if this is 1 month, which is equivalent to 30 days, then we can look at each section will be equal to 10 days. Okay, 1 month is equivalent to 30 days, and so each section will be 10 days. In terms of time, okay? So let's take a look at that for a second. because not every month, not every sign on the zodiac starts on the 1st. Remember? Because this right here is showing, and we just learned, if you watch TV Shore's video, we just learned and understood, and let me fold this in half so that I can see that I'm showing it to you, that Gemini actually starts on the 21st, and I think some of them may even say the 22nd, but we're just saying the 21st. So Gemini ranges from the date of 5/21 to June, what does that say, June 20th? And so these are the dates of this particular sign of Gemini. And so the first 10 days that we have here is going to start the count of May 21st to May 31st. And the second set of 10 days would be 10 days after that. And the third would be 10 days after that. And so that will be your time spans here as it goes through this particular sign of Gemini. As to what the dates are in this particular area. Okay? Okay. So, while I was continuing to do my studies through some of these videos through the deacons, I did understand that the story that's in the stars, his story that's in the stars, is there for all to see. And it tells the story from the beginning to the end. It tells what's going to happen, and it tells how things will unfold. And it is extremely interesting if you take some time to go back through and take a look at it. Now, what I understood from this gentleman when I was listening and trying to do some research is that the whole mazzaroth, which is what this is, they call it the mazzaroth, these 12 signs, because we're talking about astronomy and not astrology. And I know a lot of people have a lot of issue with that, and I myself did too. I thought it was taboo. I didn't want to get into it. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to dabble in it. I didn't even want to be near it. But we have to understand the difference between astronomy and astrology. And guys, we have to understand that in the Bible, it speaks of all of these stars. The Lord says He has named them. And He knows every single one of them by name, and He calls them by name. And so there is a reason why they are out there. We know that they used to be able to, we know that the Lord told us in the beginning that the sun, the moon, and the stars are out there for time, for days, for weeks, for seasons. And so we know that it was given to us to watch and to learn and to observe. And so when we're talking about astronomy, we're talking about the planet placement within that circle, within that perimeter, and how those things intertwine and intersect with that particular line, that circle, that tells His story and keeps our focus upon Jesus and God and what His story is about and the coming of our Messiah, and not on us. It's not on us personally for our own credit or our own, I can't think of what the word is, for our own building up of ourselves. Our focus is upon Him and how we can become more like Him, because the mazzaroth actually describes His attributes. We talked about the 4 faces of the creatures that were around the throne. And we said in another video that we go through and we learn all of these different aspects of Christ, because we are actually becoming more like Him. And so when we're taking a look at the message in the stars, we know that every single sign of the Mazzaroth has a different story and a different attribute of the Messiah, and it talks about his story. And so when we're talking about the difference between fortune telling and divination versus astronomy and learning his story and the message of what he has said is going to happen, there isn't anyone on earth that has not been able to have the ability to go and understand what is getting ready to occur. And so when we're talking about the difference of the two, that's what we're talking about. I'm not going to show this to you in terms of, I'm going to predict the future. I'm going to show you what what the Creator has put into play in the very beginning. Even before the fall of man, he put into play the place to fix it all. He knew what was going to happen, and he put into place to fix it all. And his story, and it's all mapped out right there for us to see. Now, I'm just digging into it, and I'm just learning about it. But guys, I'm here to tell you, he has everything in control, and he does not want us to be blindsided about anything. I'm telling you, he is a father of fathers, and he wants to lead his children and forewarn his children, just like Amos said. He's not going to do anything without telling his prophets what's getting ready to happen so that they can share it with the body and forewarn everybody and tell them. Now, whether all want to listen or not, I don't know. But all I know is that I am seeing what the Lord is showing me, and what I am sharing what he's telling me and what he's pointing me to. And guys, it's all about time, and it's all about the stars. So there is something coming down the pike. Now, when you look at his complete story, it's broken down into 3 sections. A part 1, a part 2, and a part 3. It's like a mini series. It truly is. It's a part 1 where it speaks of the Redeemer and his first coming. It's a part 2, and he's speaking about the redeemed and what did I say? The redeemed and his work and its results. And then there's a part 3, and it's about the Redeemer again. For what? His second coming. And so that's all of these signs that are in the mazzaroth. And when it's broken down into 3 sections. And so out of 12, broken down into 3, then we know that each of these sections has a set of 4 signs in it, 4 sun signs in it. Okay, so let's talk about the first part. The first part of the book is the Redeemer, and it goes in and it tells the story of his first coming. And that is dealing with Virgo, which is right. That's the Virgin. That's the Virgin Mary. That's the beginning of the story. So it talks about Virgo. It talks about Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius. And so what I did on this particular Enoch's calendar, which I have to say is not the most updated one. There is one updated, and I think I mentioned that before. I just don't have it printed off where I'm at. But you can go onto Facebook, or you can email me, and I can send you the most updated one that actually has some of the harvests and different things in it. But for this particular one, this is going to work just fine with what I want to talk about. So I've broken it down into the sections. I have for this particular section here and this particular section here, this is a set of 4. And this is starting with Virgo, and it's going through here. So this is our book 1 right there. That is that is part 1 right there. Okay, starting with Virgo and going into Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius. Now this is dealing with the Redeemer and his first coming. And so what these 4 major constellations are saying, okay, along with the 3 minor constellations that are tied in with each, it's describing what all was to occur and would occur during that particular time, during the time of his first coming. And if you go back and take a look at it and understand what all of this is, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. The second part of the book is about the redeemed. It's about what we've learned and what the results are about his work that in through us and what those results are. And so that's dealing with Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, and Aries. And so here's where that is. Here's the first, and we're going around. So here's the second. So where the yellow marks are, that's identifying the sets of 4. And then the third part of the book. And so I'm just going to bend this up, okay? And then the third part of the book. And it's the Redeemer and his second coming. So notice the months that are in here, okay? Notice the months. We've got Taurus, Gemini, which is what has been pointed to quite a bit lately, not only through our dreams and information that we had about Elisha, being Elijah times 2, we've been pointed to double. Remember, the Lord gave me that word when I woke up that one morning. It said, my daughter is to give birth to twins. This is what he is pointing to right here. And then I think T.B. Shores actually had a message too, a couple of videos on these twins and what the Lord was telling her about it. So he's obviously pointing us to spring. And he's pointing us to this particular area here. Now, guys, understand that this particular area here is the end of the book. It's the end. It's talking about the Redeemer and his second coming. Okay? That's what these are. So now, I took some time and I went through and I started looking at what some of these things were. Let's take a look at the first one. And I'm just going to give you some quick information about what I found in some of these. Now remember, we just talked about the eclipse coming. And the eclipse coming across the United States. I mean, it's going across more than just the United States. It's going across other countries as well. But I live in the United States, and so that's where my focus was. That it actually is coming completely over the continental United States. And so let's take a look at what these sun signs are that are in the final part of the book. Okay, we're talking about Taurus. And what I found on this is we know that the sign of Taurus is the bull. We know that the sign of Taurus is the bull. But now what is really interesting in this too is the fact, you guys remember Jacob, and he had the 4 sons, and his son Joseph had the dream. Joseph was the son that had the coat of many colors. And he was given a couple of dreams from the Lord, and he went and he told his brothers about them, and his brothers got all jealous and mad and didn't even want to hear about it. But one of the dreams that he had was the fact that all 11 of them were going to bow down to Joseph, but Joseph is represented as the bull in the sun sign of Taurus. And so when we look at Taurus and we hear some of the things that are going on in Taurus, then we can kind of relate to that and say, okay, well, maybe that was a symbolism of, maybe that was a type and shadow of the Messiah. But here's what I found about Taurus: the prophecy of the coming judgment, the Messiah coming to rule, Messiah coming in judgment. And then it goes in and talks about some of the stars that are around, and some of the stars, the brightest star that's in the constellation of Taurus, it means leader or governor. It talks about the Pleiades and the group of stars within the Pleiades, and that means heap or accumulation. A bright star by the name of Alcyone, it means the center. another group of stars called the Hyades. It means the congregated. And so within this major constellation of Taurus, there's 3 minor constellations involved with that. And one is Orion. And Orion means the Redeemer breaking forth as light. It means the coming Prince, the light breaking forth through the Redeemer. And there's a whole lot more, because it took me hours upon hours to do the studies that I did on some of these stars. But also the second star, that is a minor constellation within Taurus, it means wrath breaking forth as a flood. Now we've been getting these messages. We've been getting them. And the Lord is trying to point us and tell us it's going to be in the sun sign, or in the age of Taurus. And then the third minor constellation, get this, safety for his redeemed in the day of wrath. That's another minor constellation for Taurus. It means the shepherd. Guys, there's a ton of different things here. And so in Gemini, which is the major constellation, I found that it means Messiah as the Prince of Princes. It's the Redeemer's reign and glory. That's Gemini. Is this what he's trying to point us to? The twins. Some of the stars within the sun sign of Gemini mean double or twinned together. One of the brightest stars is Apollo. It means ruler or judge. And next to that is Hercules, which means who cometh to labor and suffer. Another one, it means hurt or wounded. We know he was wounded for our transgressions. We know that. So the minor sun signs that are under the major sign of Gemini, one means that the enemy will be trodden underfoot. Another one means the coming glorious prince. Cyrus star meaning the prince. Another one is meaning shining and glorious. And then the third minor one under that means Redeemer, conquering, victorious. So now you see how some of these minor constellations and their stars and what the meaning of their stars mean, how that kind of ties into what the major constellations message is trying to point out. And so it went all the way through. I went through to Cancer. And guys, Cancer is phenomenal. Cancer is the Redeemer's position is safe. The Messiah's redeemed possessions. Guys, we were bought and paid for. We are his possessions. The crab. Messiah's possessions held fast. It means cattle folds. It means he who holds or binds together. It means encircling. Guys, how many times has the Lord given me messages where he says, I'm encapsulating you? Right? That was the word he used, and I had to look it up. But that's what it means, encircling, encapsulating. He is the Caesar and the processor of the seed. The bright cluster is called Parasapi, and it means a multitude or offspring. It means holding, a sheltering or hiding place. This is the sign of Cancer, a sheltering or hiding place. Now here's some of the minor constellations associated with the major constellation of Cancer, okay? Keep in mind it was a sheltering or hiding place. This time last year, June or July of 2016, the Lord was giving me information about places of safety. I had no idea what he was trying to tell me. I didn't know there was places of safety. And so from that point, he has brought me all this way to try to tell me about things. But here it is, right here in the stars. In the constellation of Cancer, there are places of safety. And he's telling us what they are. They are the hiding place. So the 3 minor constellations, one of them means the lesser sheepfold. And I think this is equating to the first fruits, the little bear. Now remember, when I went to bed and I said something, I was praying about the Lord to help me understand. When I woke up, what did he tell me? He said the bears equal kings. He said the bears equal kings. Well, in the constellation of Cancer, there are 3 deacons, 3 minor constellations, and 2 of them are bears. And so what is this talking about? This is talking about the sheepfolds being hidden away, rest or security. It's a bear. The other one, that was one. The other one is the great bear. One was the little bear. The other is the great bear. This is the fold and the flock. In what? In Cancer. And what did Cancer signify? Hiding and sheltering. The places of safety. So then the 3rd minor constellation that's in Cancer, you guys are going to flip out. It means the pilgrim's arrival at home. It's dealing with ships. How many times have you all been dreaming or even read in Erin's dreams where she's talking about the Tiva? She's talking about the ships bringing people. This is what it's talking about. That 3rd minor constellation is talking about the ships, meaning the pilgrim's safe arrival at home. So how many groups of people are we talking about? How many catchings away are we talking about? The Egyptian planisphere shows that there's 2 ships. And it could equate itself to the great bear, which is the fold and the flock. But that's different than the little bear because that's identified as the lesser sheepfold. So I'm wondering, is the little bear the first fruits? I don't know. I don't know. But the 3rd one is Argo, A-R-G-O, and it's the pilgrim's arrival at home, and it's the ships. Guys, I remember when I started going through this, I remember that the Lord gave me a dream not too long ago, and I believe I shared it. I was getting a new job, and I was sent to oversee the grains being put into the ships. There were 2 ships that were there, and they were being filled with grains. Wheat, barley, I don't know, guys, but that was my job. I was overseeing the 2 ships being filled with grains. And when I saw this, the Lord immediately brought it back to my memory. I had completely forgotten all about it. So guys, Cancer is the sun sign where it's saying we're headed home. We're being taken home. That's not even including the sign of Leo, which is the 4th one. Which is the 4th one that's in this particular section. So where are we at that time? Well, we're gone, because in the sign of Leo, it's all about the wrath being poured out. It's all about the serpent being destroyed. It's all about the cup of wrath being poured on him and the birds of prey devouring him, the raven. That's what it's all about. And so we're not here for that. We're not here for that. And so, guys, there's a ton of information that I have found in here. And I have page after page after page after page after page written out because of it was just so interesting for me to take a look at it. But guys, the 10 to 1 and the 3 that the Lord gave me this morning, or not this morning, May 21st, 2017, the 10 to 1 and the 3 He has led me to understand is dealing with time. It's dealing with the major constellations and the 3 minor constellations that are involved within it. And it's also breaking the story of the heavens into 3 separate parts, because He has been pointing us to spring, and He has been pointing us to Gemini, and He has been pointing us to double and to twins. And so, guys, there's a lot of information if you can go and take a look and see where we are. But the sun sign of Cancer is the one that is showing most of us going home. That's what it looks like. Now, a couple of things I want to talk to you all about that. We just did a video in regards to the eclipse, and the eclipse date, if I remember correctly, the eclipse date was this, August 21 of this year, 2017. But now, the information that he gave me on 10 to 1 was on May 21, okay? And so, when we're looking at this time period here, okay, we're really from May 21 all the way to August 21, then we're looking at 3 months, right? So we're looking at Gemini, we're looking at Cancer, and we're looking at Leo. But now we just understood that Leo is the wrath being poured out, right? And so we're looking at these 2 dates, these 2 months right here. Now, what I'm saying to you is, let me clarify. What I'm not saying to you is something's going to happen this month, or something's going to happen next month, or something's going to happen the month after. What I am trying to say to you is, everybody needs to take some time in prayer to discern the information that the Lord is trying to put out there right now, not just through me, but several other messengers, where He's been pointing to spring, He's been pointing to Gemini, and He's been pointing us up to the stars. Now, we have an eclipse that's coming through August the 21st. Now, is that the actual day of God's calendar? No, it's not, because we learned in Enoch's calendar that it's running a couple of weeks, maybe even up to 3 weeks, different in time. Enoch's calendar, or what they call Yah's calendar, is back behind. It hasn't hit yet. So when we get to August 21st on our Gregorian calendar and we see the eclipse going through, then it is actually 2 or 3 weeks date-wise behind on God's calendar. And so when we talk in terms of when these mazzaroth signs actually come into play as far as dates, then we have to know and understand that we're off a little bit on the calendars. And I think I mentioned that last year, that I actually went through and I counted the Omer for 50 days, and I realized that there was a huge discrepancy in time, because Easter in our calendar, our Gregorian calendar, was almost a month prior to Passover in the Jewish calendar. And so, there is a discrepancy in time. And so, when someone says, oh, here's the new sun sign date, and this is the date that it's coming in, we have to be flexible in the time to know and understand that that may not be the specific date. It could be, it is definitely off. So I'm not saying anything is going to happen, but I am saying that this is where the Lord is pointing us to. He's wanting us to watch and be aware of what's going on in those signs. And not only the major ones, but the minor ones. Those are the ones that he is pointing us to. 10 to 1 and 3 within the one major constellation. What are these trying to tell us? I'm going to read to you the names of the sun signs, the small minor ones, within Gemini. Within the major constellation of Gemini, the 3 minor constellations are Lepus, Lepus, Canis Major, Canis Minor. In Cancer, the 3 minor sun signs are Ursa Minor, Ursa Major, and Argo, A-R-G-O. And in Leo, the 3 minor constellations are Hydra, H-Y-D-R-A, Crater, and Corvus, C-O-R-V-U-S. And when we're dealing with Leo, we know that the prophecy of triumph has been fulfilled, that the Messiah is he's consummated the triumph. He is the lion, and he is destroying the old serpent. So guys, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching another video. I hope that this has been helpful to you in some way. Guys, I don't know it all. I know that he is trying to point us into a particular area. He's trying to point us to something. I know he wants us to stay focused on time, and that is what this video really is all about in regards to the 10 to 1. Is he actually leading me toward more what the others have heard with the 10 to 1? I'm not sure. I am a late bloomer. I understand that. It could be, or he just could be showing me a different aspect of the 10 to 1 as to what he wants me to bring forth in regards to that. So guys, I just want to say thank you so much. God bless you. Thanks for coming back to this next video. I know it was packed full of a lot of information, but please go into my playlist on my YouTube homepage and click the playlist tab, and you will find the Deacon videos that I am going through myself to do studies and research and to learn a little bit about. So you guys can keep up with me and maybe even teach me something, tell me something. That would be great, because I am a slow learner, and it takes me a little bit of time to get it all in here. So guys, I just want to say thank you. God bless you. I appreciate you coming back. Please stay under his wing. We're in the last days, guys. I love you all. I'll talk to you all soon.